Let's just dive right into this explainer, okay? Today we're exploring a universal problem, the fact that none of us has perfect information. And believe it or not, this simple gap in knowledge fundamentally drives exactly how our markets function. We all kind of walk through life assuming prices and products are straightforward, right? But beneath the surface of literally every single purchase you make, there is this whole hidden economy of knowledge.
Before we get bogged down in any math or theories, I want you to think about your own economic behaviors for a second. Ask yourself how a simple lack of information completely changes the way you spend your hard-earned money. Seriously, why is it that bad products sometimes drive the really good ones out of the market entirely? Well, it all boils down to what you know, what you don't know, and, crucially, what the person selling to you might be hiding.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at 5 things. First, the economics of search. Second, adverse selection in lemons. Third, the power of market signaling. Fourth, the problem of moral hazard. And finally, we'll wrap up with principles, agents, and wages.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the economics of search.
Think about the first hurdle you face as a consumer, just finding the right price. Suppose you're buying a new TV. You know the exact brand, you know the exact model, but different stores are charging totally different prices. So you have to spend your own valuable time and energy looking for a better deal. Economists call these your search costs. The general rule here is pretty intuitive. You stop searching the exact moment your effort costs more than the savings you expect to find. You are constantly balancing the marginal benefit of finding a cheaper TV against the marginal cost of the time you're just wasting looking for it.
And this perfectly illustrates the declining marginal benefit of searching. Let's say the TV is priced somewhere between $80 and $120. If you just walk into one random store, your statistically expected price is right in the middle, $100. But if you visit a second store, your expected lowest price drops to about $93.33. That's a solid savings of around $6 and change for that second search. Not bad. But by your third search, the expected price drops to $90, which is only an additional savings of $3.33. Do you see what's happening? The expected savings curve flattens out the more you search. To put that into perspective, if your personal time is worth, say, $2 per search, you're going to stop after about 4 searches. Why? Because by that 5th search, the expected savings literally drops below your $2 cost.
So as we transition into our next topic, let's just appreciate that we are unpacking a true masterclass in textbook economics here. But here's the catch. That search model, it assumes you can easily evaluate the TV's quality just by looking at it. But what happens when that quality is hidden? That brings us to Section 2, adverse selection and lemons.
The absolute crucial point here is that when an imbalance of information happens, something economists call asymmetric information, the market can actually break down completely. The most famous example of this is the used car market. Because buyers can't really tell the difference between a great car and a terrible one just by looking at it, they refuse to pay top dollar. And because buyers won't pay top dollar, the sellers of genuinely high-quality cars, they refuse to sell. So what's the result? The low-quality products, the so-called lemons, actually end up driving the high-quality products out of the market entirely. It's a real game changer.
Now, notice the stark contrast here between what the seller secretly knows and what you, the buyer, are desperately trying to figure out. The seller knows exactly how many times that car's engine has overheated. Meanwhile, you on the right side, you're basically just kicking the tires and hoping for the best. And you know, this exact same dynamic applies to health insurance. You know if you are secretly sick, but the insurance company doesn't. That's exactly why they worry so much about attracting only the sickest patients. It's another perfect example of adverse selection in action. Thankfully, the market has actually developed mechanisms to bridge this exact gap. Let's look at Section 3, the power of market signaling. To overcome adverse selection, we need ways to securely transfer trust. Sellers provide market signals, things like brand names and guarantees. Think about it. A warranty is essentially a seller putting their money where their mouth is. It's them signaling to you that their product is for sure not a lemon. And on the flip side, buyers provide signals too. You submit to medical checkups for life insurance, or you build up a solid credit history to prove to a bank that you are a high-quality borrower. These signals basically grease the wheels of the economy by giving the less informed party the confidence they need to actually make a deal.
But wait, what happens to your behavior after you've used those signals to buy a protective policy? This introduces Section 4, the problem of moral hazard. The problem of moral hazard happens precisely because the loss is shifted from the individual to the insurance company. Once you have a safety net, your behavior naturally changes. If you have premium auto insurance that covers literally everything, you might drive just a little bit more recklessly or maybe park in a riskier neighborhood.
If a business has great fire insurance, they might take fewer precautions. The crazy thing is, the probability of an accident actually increases simply because someone else is footing the bill.
Now, if insurance companies didn't fight this hazard, their costs would spiral totally out of control. So they solve this by forcing you to take specific precautions, like making you install a fire detector system before they even issue a policy. But even more effectively, they use coinsurance and deductibles. By insuring only a part of the possible loss, they force you to pay a portion out of your own pocket. It ensures you still have skin in the game, so you continue to act responsibly even when you know you're covered.
Finally, let's examine how this information gap affects the very place where you work. Section 5. Principals, Agents, and Wages. In a modern corporation, the people who actually own the company, we call them the principals, are rarely the same people running it on a daily basis, the agents. This divorce of ownership from control creates what's known as the principal-agent problem. Basically, managers might reject a highly profitable company takeover bid just to save their own comfortable jobs, which obviously directly harms the owner's interests. So to fix this motivation gap, owners use things like golden parachutes. These are massive payouts given to managers that the firm has taken over. It's a clever trick that perfectly aligns the manager's personal financial goals with the owner's overarching goal of increasing the value of the firm. Now, if we move from the executive suite down to the factory floor, companies face another massive information gap. They simply can't monitor every single employee every minute of the day. To solve this, they use something called efficiency wage theory. This is the truly fascinating idea that a firm will willingly pay you a salary that is significantly higher than the standard market rate. Why on earth would they do that? Because the cost of losing that amazing job becomes so incredibly high that workers naturally avoid shirking or slacking off. A brilliant historical example of this is from back in 1914. Henry Ford shockingly increased the minimum daily wage for his assembly line workers from $2.34 to a whopping $5 a day. That was absolutely unheard of at the time. Just watch how this single decision built an incredible competitive advantage. By voluntarily paying this massive efficiency wage, Ford instantly solved his turnover and productivity problems. He attracted incredibly loyal workers, he cut his absenteeism strictly in half, and he actually increased overall productivity by more than 50%. His profits absolutely skyrocketed. And you know what's kind of hilarious about this? While Ford executed this perfectly in 1914, it took academic economists another 70 years to develop the actual theory to explain the facts of his success. Today, of course, the landscape is shifting dramatically. The information superhighway of the internet is drastically reducing search costs across the board. By linking hundreds of millions of computers globally, it is rapidly closing these traditional information gaps. Think about it. You don't have to visit 5 different physical stores to find the cheapest TV anymore. You just click a button and access instant data from all around the world. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider everything we've just covered, from the time you spend searching for a better deal, to the signals you look for in a specific brand, all the way down to the insurance deductibles you choose. Every single transaction you make is basically a negotiation of knowledge. So, knowing all this, ask yourself, how will you navigate your own information gaps tomorrow? Keep an eye out for those lemons, always remember the incredible power of signaling, and hey, never underestimate the value of having a little skin in the game.